So now that all of our information is set up, our Google Sheet knows all of our numbers. Now we're going to actually do some calculations. So in whatever box we want to do some math in, we always need to start off with an equal sign. So I'm in the cell underneath mean so that I can calculate my mean. Again, I'm doing a calculation, so I have to start off with an equal sign. That tells the cell, hey, you need to do some math. It is so nice to have this tool. We use Google Sheets in the real world all the time to do calculations when we're looking at money with budgets, when we're looking at data, we're looking at your guys' grades and your MAP scores, your SOL scores. We throw all of it in a spreadsheet like this and we look at numbers and information and data all the time. It's so nice and it's amazing what these things can do. So we're trying to calculate the mean. What was another name for mean? It started with an A. The average. Calculating the mean means we're finding the average. And what math do we usually do to calculate the mean or the average? We add them all up and divide by how many are there. But we don't have to do that much work in a Google Sheet. If we want it to calculate the mean or the average, I type in equal sign, start typing average, and let's see what pops up. A, V, E, and I see here it's going to calculate, if I click on average, the average for me. So it's going to average whatever information I tell it to. So if I click on average, now I have to tell it what cells, which numbers I want it to average. I want it to average all of those ages together. So for me to use all of those ages, I'm going to click and hold on the top information and drag my mouse all the way down to the bottom. So I'm going to click and hold on my dad's age. Make sure you hold it. And I'm going to drag it all the way down to my age. And then I'm going to let go. So it's showing me in here, it's doing the average for B4. That's my dad's cell. It's in the B column on row 4, all the way down to mine, which is in B13, the B column, the 13th row. Then I need to close my parentheses. Make sure that you close those parentheses and hit enter. And it just found the average for you. It found the mean. You didn't have to add, and divide. It did it for you. If I click on that mean, I don't want it bold, so I'm going to unbold it for me. If you click up here, you'll see that you can increase and decrease decimal places. That changes what the number is rounding to. So right now it calculated it to the nearest thousandth. If I click on this decrease decimal places, it rounded it to the hundredths. It was 0.625. It rounded it to 0.63. And then it could round it again to 0.6. It doesn't matter to us how many place values you have. If you're not sure, or maybe you have a really long repeating decimal, that might be a good time for you to change your place value. Typically, we round to the nearest hundredths, so I'm going to have mine round to the nearest hundredths for my mean. Oops. Then I'm going to go through and do the same thing for the median. It's doing math, so what do we say we have to start out with? An equal sign. I have to start out with an equal sign. Again, I want my Google Sheet to find the median for me. So I start typing the word median, and it pops up with its open parentheses. I don't even have to put the numbers in order and cross off one from each side or do my rainbows to help me find the median. It's going to do it for me. I click and I hold it, drag through your data, and let go. I click and hold in my dad's data, drag all the way down through to mine, close my parentheses and hit enter, and it found the median age for me. Again, I don't like that bold. Let me unbold that quick. Let me show you what happens if you forget to hit the equal sign. If I just type median and click and drag, that's what I'm going to see. It didn't do any math because I didn't tell it to. The Google Sheet is only as smart as you tell it to be. I didn't tell it to do math, so it's not going to do math. You have to start off with an equal sign in order for it to do math for you. We're going to do the same thing with mode. I'm going to type in my equal sign because I want it to do math. There's mod and then there's mode. There is a difference. Make sure you click the correct one. We want to choose mode. And again, click and drag through your data, close your parentheses and hit enter. And it tells you the mode. And it's easy for me to see this one. Anthony, Laura, and my husband are all 32 years old. Oops, not James. They're all 32 years old. Very easy for me to see my mode, but in a big data set, I'm glad that my Google Sheet can do it for me so that I don't have to. If I try to type equals range, it's not going to give me the range that I'm talking about. So this range you will have to do. How did we find the range? How do we find range? To find the maximum, we take the biggest number minus the smallest number. In your data set, it might be easy for you to see what's the biggest, what's the smallest, and then you can do the math that way. So if you would like to do it that way, you can. Again, I want it to do math, so I have to start off with an equal sign. If I want to do my biggest number, which is my dad's age, I would click that. And then I'd want to subtract the youngest person, or Connor. My biggest minus my smallest, I start off with my equal sign, and there it calculated the range for me. That's one way that you can do it. And this isn't bad if you have a small set of data. But when I'm looking at all 97 of my students and I'm looking to see what is the biggest number minus the smallest number, that's a lot of work to look through 97 scores and try to figure that out. So that's one way you can calculate the range. Another way, if you have a big set of data, start off with my equal sign. And to find range, I'm subtracting the biggest number, or we would call it the maximum number. I would take the maximum number in my data set, and I would subtract that from the minimum number, the smallest number in my data set. Looking at the same numbers again. I would take my maximum, my biggest number, minus my minimum, my smallest number, and that will also help me calculate my range. It doesn't matter to us which way you do it. If you want to try both, go ahead and try both ways where you find your biggest, subtract your smallest, or if you want to try the maximum minus the minimum, whatever is easiest for you. Go ahead, stop this video, rewatch parts if you need to, ask us questions if you have them, but please go through and calculate your measures of center, your mean, median, mode, and range.